Have you ever realized that the toughest aspects of aging aren't the ones people usually mention? We all expect the physical discomfort, aches, stiffness, or forgetfulness. But the real challenges after 70 often catch you off guard. They don't just appear in your joints or your memory. They show up in more subtle and surprising ways, affecting how you navigate your daily life, how you connect with others, and how you feel when you're by yourself. This video will explore the 7 most difficult parts of aging beyond the age of 70, not the surface-level stuff you read in health pamphlets, and not just the physical symptoms. Instead, we'll focus on the deeper emotional, social, and personal changes that no one really talks about. The ones that quietly test your patience, touch your heart, and sometimes make you wonder if anyone else feels the same. What you're about to hear isn't meant to alarm you. It's about putting words to experiences you may already know, but haven't expressed. And naming them can be powerful, because once we understand what we're going through, it becomes a little easier to carry, especially when we know we're not alone. So stay with me to the end. These changes can be tough, yes, but they also reveal a quiet resilience, a kind of wisdom and strength that only comes from a life well lived. Let's begin. Number 1, physical decline. There comes a moment, sometimes subtle, sometimes abrupt, when you begin to truly feel the effects of aging in your body. It might be as simple as a sharp twinge when reaching for something, or needing an extra pause when rising from a chair. After age 70, these seemingly small moments begin to accumulate, and no matter how much you think you're ready for it, the physical changes of aging can still come as a surprise. It's not just about moving more slowly or feeling stiffer. What hits harder is the growing awareness that strength now requires more deliberate effort. Balance becomes less dependable. Everyday tasks, like standing on one foot to put on a sock or walking carefully across a damp floor, suddenly demand more focus and caution. It can feel as if your body has quietly shifted into a lower gear, and no one gave you a warning. Take George, for example. At 75, he had always taken pride in his independence. He once told me how he used to shovel snow without a second thought. But last winter, after just a few minutes, he had to sit down. What affected him most wasn't the physical limitation. It was the emotional realization that he could no longer count on his body in the same way. He described it as discovering that a dependable friend had stopped showing up. Many people share this feeling. It's not necessarily a betrayal by the body, but a startling shift that changes how you view daily life. Familiar stares now make you pause. The energy you woke up with fades by mid-afternoon. These aren't sudden, dramatic changes. They're slow and steady ones. You may walk a bit more carefully, feel your grip weaken, or notice clothes fitting differently. What makes this transition difficult is the disconnect. In your mind, you still feel vibrant, but your body doesn't always keep up. That mismatch can bring quiet frustration or even shame. But it's important to understand, experiencing these changes doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're human. Everyone faces this stage. The key isn't to resist it, but to adapt. Move more mindfully, stretch a bit longer, and pay closer attention to what your body's asking for. It's not about giving in, it's about adjusting with dignity. And in that adjustment lies a new kind of strength. Number 2, experiencing more loss than expected. As we age, one of the most difficult parts isn't necessarily what happens to our own health, but what begins to happen in the world around us. Friends who have been part of your life for decades begin to vanish, sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly. A neighbor you once shared regular conversations with might move into a care facility. Someone you used to call every week may gradually stop answering, and occasionally the losses are much deeper and more permanent. At first, these moments of absence seem infrequent, but after turning 70, they begin to happen more often. You start to expect them, yet they never quite feel routine. No matter how many birthdays you've celebrated, losing someone who's woven into your life still touches a tender place inside you, one that doesn't toughen with age. I once spoke with Elaine, a 79-year-old woman whose best friend of over 4 decades had passed away. She told me, "I've experienced loss before, but this one was different. She was my memory, the only person who remembered who I used to be. That kind of grief reaches beyond simple sorrow. It feels like a piece of your own identity has vanished with the person, as if a chapter of your story can no longer be told the same way. And it isn't always death that causes this kind of loss. Sometimes it's a friend struggling with dementia, sometimes it's loved ones moving far away, or people just quietly slipping out of your day-to-day life without meaning to. The home grows quieter, the phone rings less. Your calendar has more empty spaces than plans. What makes this type of loss especially painful is the uncertainty. You never know when the next phone call will bring difficult news, or when another familiar chair at the dinner table will remain empty. Even if you try to emotionally prepare yourself, grief often catches you by surprise. In the melody of a song, the scent of something familiar, or an old photograph discovered in a drawer. There's no quick solution to ease this kind of pain, but simply acknowledging it can help. Feeling grief doesn't make you fragile, it makes you human. And if you're over 70, chances are you've had to say goodbye more often than others realize. That quiet bravery, the strength it takes to keep moving forward, to keep remembering, and to keep loving despite the losses, is a kind of resilience many people never fully understand. If this message resonates with you, leave a comment with number 2 below. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing and turning on notifications. Your support helps us continue to share honest and uplifting content that speaks to what really matters. Let's keep going. Number 3, feeling emotionally distant from family. This kind of distance doesn't happen all at once. It creeps in gradually. You raise your children, support them through their ups and downs, and stay connected for as long as possible. But over time, you may begin to notice a quiet gap forming. Maybe they call less frequently. Maybe visits are rare and rushed. The grandchildren are growing up in a fast-paced world that feels increasingly unfamiliar. It's not that they don't care, and it's not that you've done anything wrong, it's just how life unfolds. Still, that doesn't make it any easier. For many people in their 70s and beyond, this emotional separation becomes one of aging's more unexpected and painful challenges. What makes it even harder is how subtle it can be. The distance often hides behind well-meaning words like, "We'll visit soon," or "Things have just been hectic." You understand, they're busy juggling families, jobs, and responsibilities. You remember what that stage of life felt like, but you can't help missing them. You miss being involved, being asked for advice, or simply being part of the small, everyday moments. Thomas, 82, once shared his experience. He said, "I raised 3 kids, helped with their homes, babysat their children, fixed their cars. Now I might see them once a month." He wasn't bitter, just quietly resigned. Then he added something that stuck with me. "I used to be the center of their world. Now I feel like a side note." That kind of emotional disconnection often goes unspoken. You don't want to guilt anyone, so you keep it to yourself. But inside it lingers. Holidays feel lonelier, birthdays quieter, and ordinary days have an undercurrent of something missing, even if you can't quite name it. But here's what's important. Your worth hasn't faded. It hasn't been reduced with age. The world around you has simply sped up. While you may not regain the closeness you once had, you can still create small, meaningful connections. A thoughtful note, a printed photo in the mail. Not to chase attention, but to gently remind them you're still here, still loving, still listening. The hardest part isn't being alone. It's feeling overlooked. But even in a fast-moving world, your presence continues to matter, more than your family often says, and more than they may even know. Number 4, watching the world. You knew slowly fade away. At some point after turning 70, you may begin to look around and feel like the world you once knew is slipping away. Familiar places vanish. The corner shop you used to visit is long gone, and the park where your children played has been replaced with modern developments. The music sounds unfamiliar, the words people use have changed, and even everyday conversations feel different. It's not just a matter of missing the good old days. It's a deep emotional loss. It's grieving for the familiar, for a way of life that once felt natural and understandable. For many older adults, this slow transformation isn't just confusing, it's quietly painful. Margaret, an 83-year-old woman I once spoke with, put it this way. Everywhere I go, I feel like a stranger in a place that used to feel like home. That sense of alienation doesn't always come with a loud crash. It creeps in gradually, showing up in small ways. Like when you're shopping and none of the music playing sounds familiar, or when people pass by on the street without so much as a glance. Even your own neighborhood may begin to feel foreign as new faces move in. Different languages are spoken, and customs change faster than you can keep up with. What makes this transition especially hard is that you carry memories of a slower, more personal time. A time when neighbors looked out for each other, when phone calls were answered, and when people seemed more grounded in their relationships. While there's nothing inherently wrong with progress, it can feel like your history is being erased, bit by bit. One new high-rise, one app, one unfamiliar phrase at a time. It's a subtle kind of mourning, but it's real. And when the world around you feels less familiar, it can leave you feeling invisible, like your story no longer fits into the present moment. But here's the truth. Your story still matters. Your experiences, your wisdom, and your presence are still valuable. Just because the world is changing doesn't mean you have nothing left to offer. The kindness, insight, and calm you've cultivated over the years never go out of fashion. You may not be able to bring back the world as it once was, but you can carry its best parts forward, in your stories, in the way you live, and in the way you remind younger generations what real human connection looks like. If this message speaks to you, leave a comment with number 4 below to let me know you're still here. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing and turning on notifications. Your support helps us keep sharing content that informs and uplifts. Let's keep going together. Number 5, struggling with simple tasks you once did without effort. One of the quieter, more surprising parts of aging is realizing that everyday tasks no longer feel quite so easy. Things you used to do automatically, like buttoning a shirt, tying your shoes, or rising from a low chair, now take more effort. It's not because you've forgotten how, but because your body doesn't respond the way it once did. What used to take mere seconds can now take a full minute, and often a bit more focus and patience. The frustrating part is how gradually it happens. You don't notice the shift right away. Then one day you drop your keys and find it's harder to bend down than it used to be. Or you go to lift a grocery bag and your back tightens in protest. These small physical changes accumulate, and over time, they can chip away at your sense of control. I remember talking to Harold, a 78-year-old man who said, "I used to walk to the mailbox without a second thought. Now I plan it like a trip." He wasn't exaggerating. He had to consider everything: the weather, the shoes he was wearing, how much standing he'd already done that day. Tasks that once required no thought now require real energy, and that shift takes a mental toll as well. What makes this especially difficult is that these small acts used to symbolize your independence. Driving yourself around, making your own meals, carrying your own laundry. When those things begin to feel like challenges, it can seem like pieces of your freedom are slipping away. But this is also where true strength emerges. Every time you adjust, every time you find a new way to manage, you're showing resilience. Using a cane is not weakness. Asking for help is not failure. Choosing to rest doesn't mean giving up. It means you're honoring your body and the journey it's been on. Aging may slow you down, but it doesn't diminish your worth. Moving through life more carefully is just another form of wisdom. And if that change sometimes brings frustration, that's perfectly normal. You've earned the right to feel it. Just don't let it take your dignity, because every small win, every step forward, every thoughtful adjustment is still fully yours. Number 6, dealing with endless medical appointments and health concerns after 70. As you get older, your schedule begins to fill with a different kind of commitment. Doctor's visits, lab tests, follow-ups, and screenings. Some weeks, it can feel like you spend more time in clinic waiting rooms than in your own home. And it's not just about the hours these appointments take. It's the mental weight that comes with them. Trying to understand medical terms, keeping track of what each test means, and always wondering what issue might come up next. Even when nothing is urgent, each appointment serves as a quiet reminder that your health needs constant attention. Your blood pressure, your blood work, your heart, all under regular surveillance. That sense of peace you once had about your body begins to feel like something from the past. Health becomes something you manage, not something you trust. And it's not just the doctor visits, it's also the medications, the side effects, the timing, the occasional confusion when different physicians offer conflicting advice. You find yourself becoming the personal assistant to your own body, jotting down symptoms, making lists of questions, double-checking prescriptions. It's not easy to keep up. I remember Irene, an 80-year-old woman, who said to me, "I feel like I spend more time in waiting rooms now than I do with my grandchildren." She didn't say it with anger, but with fatigue. It wasn't just the long hours. It was that each visit brought new worries, new medications, or another choice to make. That constant sense of watchfulness can be exhausting, no matter how tough you are or how grateful you are for access to care. Because this isn't just about surviving, it's about trying to live. It's about navigating what feels like a full-time job just to stay steady. And yet, despite the overwhelm, you keep showing up. You take your medications, you ask your questions, you follow the care plans, not because it's easy, but because deep down, you still want to be here. You still care about making the most of the time you have. If this resonates with you, leave a comment with number 6 to let me know you're still with me. And if you haven't yet, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss future videos. Your support helps us continue creating thoughtful and honest content that truly matters. Let's keep going together. Number 7, feeling invisible in a fast-paced world. Perhaps the most difficult part of aging isn't the physical discomfort, the loss of loved ones, or even the constant health concerns. It's the quiet, unsettling feeling that the world no longer sees you in the same light. You're still present, still thinking, still filled with memories, wisdom, and perspective. But more and more, it seems like people don't notice. Strangers pass without looking, store clerks overlook you, doctors rush through your concerns, and younger people assume you're out of touch. There's a slow, subtle sense that your presence doesn't carry the same weight it once did. It isn't harsh or obvious. It's a quiet fading, a social invisibility that can be hard to name, but easy to feel. You might find yourself wondering, do I still matter to the world at large? Do people still see me beyond the surface? Bill, a 77-year-old man, once put it simply, "It's not that people are unkind, they're just busy. Somewhere along the way, I stopped being someone they noticed." He wasn't craving attention. What he missed was being acknowledged, being included in conversations, asked for his thoughts, and treated like someone whose voice still mattered. That kind of invisibility stings, not out of vanity, but because all of us, deep down, want to feel that we still have something meaningful to offer. We want to know that our experiences, our struggles, and our insights still hold value, even if our pace has slowed or our appearance has changed. But let this be a reminder, you are not invisible, you are not irrelevant. What you've lived through, your strength, your patience, your understanding, is more important now than ever. And even when the world seems to overlook that, it doesn't make it any less true. Sometimes being seen begins with how you carry yourself. Speak your truth, share your stories, claim your space, not out of rebellion, but from a place of self-respect. You've earned that, and no one, not time, not age, not a distracted world, can take that away from you. You're still here, still valuable, and still worth every bit of attention and respect. Final thoughts. Aging isn't just about growing older in years. It's a series of quiet realizations. One day you notice your body doesn't move like it used to, your phone doesn't ring as often, familiar places are gone, and the people you relied on have become fewer. Life's rhythm seems to be moving just a step ahead of you. And yet, despite all this, you're still here, adapting, adjusting, and showing up. We've explored 7 of the most difficult aspects of life after 70, how your body changes in unexpected ways, how loss becomes a regular part of life, and how the connection with family can feel more distant. We've touched on the quiet mourning of a world that no longer feels the same, the frustration that comes with once simple tasks becoming difficult, the mental toll of constant medical care, and perhaps hardest of all, the feeling of becoming invisible in a fast-moving world. But here's something equally important. The very fact that you're here, listening, thinking, and reflecting, says so much about your strength. Aging may bring its trials, but it also uncovers a deep, quiet resilience. It strips away the surface and reveals the strength that's always been beneath it all. Which part of this journey spoke to you the most? What made you pause, reflect, or feel less alone? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because healing often begins in knowing someone else understands. You've lived through more than many can imagine, and you're still evolving, still learning, still finding your way. That's not a weakness. It's a quiet, dignified kind of power. Thank you for spending time with us today. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave a comment below sharing one insight you gained and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your feedback means a lot and motivates us to keep creating meaningful content. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it. Your support helps us continue producing videos that inform and inspire. Thanks again for watching, and we can't wait to see you in the next one.